Hi everybody. This is just a little note to let you all know or remind you that when we practice the practical applications of our ACA, we need to keep in mind that an ACA looks like you're fighting multiple opponents. You are not fighting multiple opponents. You're fighting one individual. An ACA is simply a combination of techniques and moves designed to help you learn how to defend yourself against an opponent. So when we practice the practical applications, we break it down by what are we doing against our opponent? Stop. Now let's move into the next set of sequences about our opponent. We are not fighting multiple opponents in our ACA. We are only fighting one individual in any practical reality.
Welcome to the square form application. Now the square form application, because the techniques are exactly the same for all students, the applications are very similar, whether you're seated or in a walker or standing. This is a standing application. In the beginning, the first technique, important lesson number 1 is getting offline. I'm the bad guy, he's the good guy. Good guy gets offline. Now I'm over here. So I was going to fight this guy and now I have to adjust. This turns me into essentially an H stance away from him. So I have to turn, or I have to attack from this H stance and allow my body to turn as I technique. That gives him a little more time. He's a little further away. And it takes away my power zone that I was here. Now remember, all of our forms are from a more traditional era, right? So the original basic application of this form would have somebody in a T stance. Doing this takes away some of my weapons. So now I'm going to attack this guy, and I'm going to step in, and I'm going to try to punch him. Okay? So in a traditional stance, my T stance, I'm not going to step in on my line anymore. I have to step off my line. And that's really important. So as I step off the line to punch him, he's going to go back on line and block this punch. Okay? Now look, I've opened my stance up for him. Okay? Now he can slide in and aggressively attack me. See how he's not blocking me? He's hitting me with his forearm. Look at my balance point. I'm falling, or I'm stepping back to get away, or I'm pulling back, but it doesn't matter because right off the block comes the punch. And that punch comes in and hits the ribs, it hits the sternum, it can hit into the armpit. It doesn't matter which way I'm turning. You're driving under my arm with a long punch straight out from your shoulder. And it's just hitting into any vital target you can find. Kidneys, floating ribs, sternum, driving in under the armpit. That's the first series of techniques. The first 3 is exactly that. In the traditional, I'm here, you're here, so I'm going to step in and punch. And then, oh boy, boom. Okay? Now in a traditional martial art, like what we're talking about, if we go a little bit faster and I start to pull back because I'm not just a beat-up dummy, I'm a human being who's a bad guy and he's trying to fight you, it doesn't matter. Just go smooth and fluid. Don't go too fast. But I'm going to go about half speed, you go about half speed, okay? So, if I step in and punch him, boom. Okay? If we're all going about half speed, even though I'm pulling back and it didn't work and he blocked me, and I'm pulling back, he's still moving in aggressively to attack me. And that's the basic application of the first sequence. And that's your opponent. Remember, there is no other opponent right now. You're fighting one guy. So that's the basic application. Let's get a little more complex. I'm a little better now too as an opponent. This is another level up. We're green belt now. I'm a better fighter as well. So if he steps out and I'm set, or I'm more modern, I'm going to step in and throw my punch and he's going to block it. And I'm going to grab him because I'm going to try to stop him. I'm going to come in here and come in. So he's just going to drive up and get underneath. You see, as I came over to punch him, he drove up underneath me. He dropped his weight way down. He's shelving and attacking me. My arms are up here. So as I'm pulling back, it's too late. He's stepping into me and punching me. So more practical application of this is if I'm turning it into a grab, he uses my grab against me. Okay? He steps out. I step in and throw my punch. And I just, all right, I'm going to grab him. Boom. Okay? Now, if I'm the boxer, the nice thing about the aggressive blocking is this. If he does the practical and the same thing, he stepped out to the line, I throw my punch, he does that sweep, boom. He's stepping in underneath me as I'm pulling back. So I throw my jab, or even if I throw my jab cross, his sweeping blocking motion is boom, boom, it's in my way, and he's coming in. And it doesn't matter if I'm a little bit faster, because I've committed to stepping into the punch. I have to change my whole way of thinking and switch back out and get away, and he's attacking me. He's following me down. So as I throw those punches and he blocks them, boom, boom, and I start stepping back, he can still come in and reach me. That's the beautiful thing about the aggressive attack. So if I'm staying light and loose and staying away from him, he's still moving into the attack. If I'm staying aggressive and I'm trying to grab him and tie him up, set myself up for a whole world of problems. All right, so that's the first sequence. The second sequence is turning around, because not all bad guys are good. So face that way and pretend you just finished. You did your overhead and you did your punch. Okay, get to a nice deep H stance. Let's do practical. Okay, so that's the end of the first sequence if he started down here. Now, for the second sequence, he can see me. I'm behind him. We're offline, and I'm going to step in and kick. But I'm kicking at an angle towards him, and he's coming across. This is actually hard to do, but there isn't much he can do about it. I'm attacking from this angle. He's at a disadvantage. So he's going to spin hard, drive his elbow into a low block to redirect my foot as I kick. So in a traditional situation where I'm right-footed, and I'm going to throw my kick at him, he's going to drive my front leg kick away. Boom. And then I'm going to throw my knee. So he's going to step in and block my knee. So go back again. So here I am, and I'm going to throw my front leg front kick. Boom. Boom. Okay? I thought I was going to kick this guy and knee him. So he's going to come in and spike my thigh with his elbow. Just doing it tiny 1/10 speed that we're doing right now, with just a little bit of resistance, tiny, tiny, nothing resistance. That elbow hurts my thigh. It hurts. So what if I do it a little more modern? Okay, he's there, he's in his stance, he sees me coming. He's going to spin and block my back leg front kick because I'm here, and then I'm going to boom, boom. It still works because I have to recover this foot in order to throw my knee. Okay, because I'm used to modern distances of fighting, and this is too close for me. I'm not used to getting in tight and close like this. All right, I'm used to throwing my kick to kick this guy, getting blocked and stepping back to the knee to here. And he steps in past my range and spikes my thigh, and I'm right here and punches me. That's your basic application of this, okay? What did we talk about in the point form? What about capturing balance? If he turns and scoops my leg and pulls me off balance, this spike becomes something really kind of cool. Go back to your other way. Okay, we're going to start with the turn. As I throw this kick, he turns and he kind of guides and scoops my foot and moves it off balance. And I step in here. That spike, look at that, drives into my sternum. If I don't get caught and I step down, he drives a spike into my pelvis. Down here. And he drops it, right? And that sinks me down just a little bit. Punch. Wow. Anything he hits that moves me down and back drops my head into the straight shoulder punch range. So in this particular case, an application of this, if he can capture my balance just a little bit, I wind up losing my balance and taking this thing here. And look what happens to me. I get flat-footed and his straight shoulder punch is right to my jaw. Okay, so that's a more modern application of this for somebody who's here. You catch that kick and just move, boom, and it hits. Okay, and he's doing his hook block because if he really gets a hold of me with this hook block, it's really over. He's got my balance, he's trapped me, he's done all sorts of crazy things. And since I'm not a professional kickboxer who's used to getting my leg held up in Muay Thai or Letway fights, I'm probably going to lose my balance when he does that. But if he doesn't grab it, if he just scoops it and knocks it, if he just does what we did in the point form where he hits it and kind of moves it to the side, boom, and I lose my balance, I'm just going to wind up going right into that spike. Okay? I don't even have time to throw the knee. Okay? So that's what we talk about where things get a little ugly and crazy in real life. You know, in real life, I expect it to go front kick, front knee. But if he can just mess me up a tiny bit, I can't do that, which is an even better defense than blocking a knee. Okay? But if it doesn't work and I do throw my knee, you spike the knee. Right? I see my knees coming in, spike it. Boom. And that hurts a lot. Okay? So that's a practical application of the second sequence. All right? All right. Now, stand there in your H facing me, punching out. Okay? Good. So there he is. And now he's facing somebody who's over here, who's on the line, and he's off the line, and he just punched that guy who tried to throw his feet and knee, right? So now he's fighting the third guy? No. Start over. Here's another sequence for fighting offline. Okay? If I'm throwing a traditional front hand, or I'm throwing a traditional back fist, or I'm trying to get in here to this guy, we are doing the same theory, the same technique, but the cross block is not what you're throwing this time. You're throwing an overhead block. Okay? So you're going to throw 2 overhead blocks. The second block, again, just like in the first sequence, is aggressively attacking me. But the first one is just an overhead block. Boom! Now he attacks me. Look at my feet are open again. Under here and punch. Okay? You see how it drives up under my arm? If he's moving fast enough, overhead, overhead, he might catch my arm as it comes back and he keeps it up. That's a function of speed. That's not a function of aggression. That's not a function of technique. That's a function of speed. Are you faster with your second block than I'm pulling my hand back? That's all that is. If you're not, let me show you how little that actually matters. If I throw this punch and I get my hand back, boom. He's driving in and holding me here. Okay? Now, in a practical fight, if I throw this punch and he steps back on line and my hand comes back and I start doing this, look, it doesn't matter. My hands are trapped up here. Even if I try to come over top, even if I try to pull him down, it doesn't matter because he's going block punch. And he's turning into it and he's hitting me really hard. That's the idea behind this third sequence. Drive my hand up, get under my hand, or trap it as it comes back and drive into me. Okay? Also, what if I'm just doing a grab? Okay, get back out there. What if this guy's grabbing? In a more modern situation, I like the overhand block for grabbing. And I like the overhand block for grabbing for a very simple reason. One of the best applications, I believe, for the overhead block is not for the punch. It's for the guy who does this. He tries to push you, he tries to grab you. Because then he's already in the grab mode. And that's okay, because now you do that. You attack the elbow or the wrist joint and keep my hand up. And the goal of this is to step in real close to me and keep my hand up. So even if I'm holding on tight, you smash into me because you can't make me let go. It's okay, because that's going to pull my hand down here. Okay? I'm still holding on. Punch me anyway. I can't stop him from punching here. I'm holding on to him because I'm Mr. Superhuman Strength. But if he can get under my arm, he's got the leverage. He pulls his arm down, my hand comes down over top like this. I'm now thumb up, all right, palm down, and that's hard to hold on to. And he can just kind of punch in there. It's really hard to stop him doing that, okay, especially with this arm up under here. He's got leverage, okay, and so he can do the strikes. So the practical application, of course, is to strike my hand off. So if I've got him, he wants to pop my wrist if he can, boom, and drive me off and attack this and then drop it in and punch me. Okay. But again, we say when you start working with your opponent, then you're working with someone, a partner who cares about making sure we can all do this correctly. I'm not going to let go. I'm going to make him knock me off. And if he doesn't knock me off, he's going to learn that he has to pull back and punch and piston punch. And that's why we work application, right? Because it's not just a dance. So that's the third sequence, both traditional and practical. Fourth sequence, turn around. Good. Put that fist out so he can see me. And this is, I'm going to just teach you the most practical use of this. If somebody sees you like this, they're going to come up with that great big overhand right, that monstrous street punch, that you think you can do this, you can't handle my punch. This is what they mean when they say that. They're going to throw this big overhand right, and they're going to come in, and you see, and if he doesn't get that arm out there, I'm going to get him. So if he drives this way outside his body, it's at least going to intercept, and I might slide down and hit him here. None of that matters. If I don't hit his head, if it's not a knockout blow, if he keeps it outside, miss by an inch is as good as a miss by a mile. So he spins, he turns that crane out so his elbow can get out, and boom, he blocks that thing. Sorry about that. I had you at 10%, I just went 100. Boom, he steps in with that python elbow, spikes me again, okay, and punches. Okay? That's a very practical application of this. He's going to turn around, he's going to block this, and as he blocks it, he's going to step in with the aggressive elbow. It's going to happen, boom, boom. So here I go. He goes, boom, boom. Right? Look at that. Holding me and shelving me again. As I pull my hand back, it doesn't matter. Okay? Because a lot of times, the person that throws this punch is going to do this. Boom. Right? He's going to come back to cover, protect himself. That's good. Now I'm driving down to do this. Doesn't matter because the punch comes right off of it and it comes right under and it'll hit those floating ribs. Okay? So the most practical application of that big turning outside is you got to watch out for that big overhand right or that big overhand left. Okay? It's a very, very common punch. Very, very common punch in today's modern world. Okay? And if you don't have a technique and you don't have an awareness of the big overhand, it's going to knock you out. So you want to practice that. Now, in a traditional setting, that outside block was for a step-in punch. So he sees this guy, and this guy's going to step in and throw that long punch right at his head, and he's just going to drive out. Okay? Traditionally, that's what it was for, the stepping long punch, which is a very common traditional technique that we don't do much anymore because we're too sophisticated and we've got too much Western boxing in our repertoire now. And so that doesn't work as well against a Western boxing jab. Okay? Because the jab's already back here and he's already recovered. So the best application for this in modern times is the big overhand right. Okay? Those are the 4 sequences. That is what's happening for seated, mobility assisted, and standing. These are the same applications. There's slightly different zones and slightly different target areas if you're smaller or taller than your opponent, or if you've got a walker that can help you. But the application for this form is exactly the same for everybody.